today's video, I'm going to be essentially just talking about probably one of the more overpowered things that is going to be currently available to literally everyone that is going to be in the game. The reason I mentioned that it is kind of overpowered is just because it is super easy to obtain it, and it is extremely strong. It is by far the strongest life leech in the entirety of the game. Of course, I'm talking about the major star of Draining Kiss. So yes, I'm strictly going to be talking about the 10% one. I know there's a one that actually gives you 20%, but this one is not as good because it's not as impactful. Well, obviously it is a stronger version of this one, but it is not as impactful because obviously, of course, from 0 to 10% is much more impact than 10 to 20%, because 10 to 20% is just going to feel like overkill, but 0 to 10% it is going to feel like a bonus. So that's why I'm going to be essentially just talking about this version and why, in my own personal opinion, currently is right now a little bit too overpowered. The reason it is overpowered is because it is extremely easy to obtain. You can literally obtain this at the beginning of the game. You don't even need to just wait a couple of days or daily. You don't need to wait for a specific gear. All you need to do is just get at least 500 flux on a new account and just get yourself this node right here, because if you didn't know, if you actually go into the Celestials right here, you can actually just buy 3 Celestial Sphere and 3 Constellation Key for 100 flux each. And of course, in order for you to unlock this node right here, you need 2 Celestial Spheres, which is 200 flux, and 3 Constellation Key to unlock this node. Because for those who don't know, you need Constellation Keys first to unlock all of the major nodes. And of course, since this is the first one, it's going to cost 3 Constellation Keys. And of course, like I just mentioned, you do get 3 of them for 100 flux each at the Celestials for a new account. And all you need to do is just get yourself these 2 right here. So you're going to get 2 Celestial Spheres and 3 Constellation Keys, and you can just get this one. Of course, if you didn't even get this node at the beginning, getting 3 Constellation Keys is going to be extremely easy, because all you need is, like, if I do recall correctly, you need 3,900, if my mental math is correct, you need 3,900 qubits to actually just get the enough Constellation Key to unlock this node. And of course, you need 1 extra to actually just reset your progression. So all you need is like 4 Constellation Keys in total to actually, if you actually went into another node towards the beginning. And you can easily just get yourself this node right here. And the Celestial Sphere, you always have them, because the Celestial Sphere is going to be permanent. Even if you do reset, it's not going to be a one-time use. It's just going to go back into your inventory, and you can just rearrange them and reuse them again. And this is why this is going to be extremely overpowered and extremely strong, is because it is a 10% life leech. For those who don't know, Life Leech is going to be essentially damage lifesteal. There are going to be 2 different types of lifesteals in this game. There is going to be the HP lifesteal and the damage lifesteal, or you could call it HP recovery and damage life leech. So the HP recovery is going to be stuff like the Hater of the Outbound, which is going to return health when you do successfully hit an enemy. Is going to heal you a percentage of your health. And then it's going to be stuff like Animated Joy. This is going to be 15% of your health every time a nearby enemy dies. This is 15% of your total health, so it's based around how much HP you have. And then there's going to be stuff, of course, like Vampirian Vanquisher. So Vampirian Vanquisher, if you actually do see right there, is going to say dealing critical hit to enemies has a chance to increase movement speed and causes the next hit to leech health. Remember, leech health, that is damage life leech or damage life steal, which is going to be based on how much damage you do. And considering that this is going to be something like Trove that we're talking about, Trove is going to be a game that you're dealing millions and millions of damage. So 10% of millions and millions of damage is hundreds of thousands of recovery. So if I actually just go over here and I use a character like the Draco, my Draco is 6,000 powering, but it's going to keep healing a lot of HP, like 40,000 damage that I'm doing is going to heal me like 4,000. And if it is 130,000 damage, I'm going to be healing 13,000 HP. And it becomes even more ridiculous once you actually start getting into the higher damage output, which is going to be stuff like the Shadow Hunter, which one shot is going to be healing me full health. That is extremely powerful, and honestly, it is absolutely ridiculous. What's even more ridiculous about this is going to be the fact that this has no cooldown per individual enemy. This is actually extremely strong because, again, in Trove, you are dealing millions and millions of damage. So even if you're using a character that doesn't have the strongest damage output, so in the case of my Luna Lancer, I don't know why the hell I hit. Like, my Luna Lancer is not necessarily the strongest out there, but if I do hit multiple enemies with one basic attack, I heal full HP. And my Luna Lancer, again, is not that strong. To put this healing into a perspective, Vampire Vanquisher, something that is just extremely powerful in terms of lifesteal, Vampire Vanquisher is 5%. Revenant subclass is 5% of damage lifesteal. This life leech that you do get with the node from the beginning of the game, it is twice as strong as Vampire Vanquisher, and it is going to be twice as strong as the Revenant's passive ability, which is extremely powerful. One last thing that I just need to mention is going to be, if you actually do see if I defeat an enemy right here, let me just unequip my animated jug so you can actually just see whenever I do defeat an enemy, I'm only going to be healing 165 HP. The reason being is that the HP that you do heal is based on the HP that the enemy has. So enemies in the hub have 1650 HP. So it means that against those enemies, no matter how much damage that you're doing, you're not going to be healing more than 165 HP. That's essentially how this is going to work, but it really doesn't matter when you are in, let's just say, a portal like Uber 10, you're going to be healing extremely fast. So let me just go into Uber 11, actually, I'd say Uber 10, but let me go into Uber 11, and if I just lower my HP, you can actually just see that I am essentially going to be healing immediately, and you can actually see this is how fast you actually can heal if you are up against an enemy that has a lot of HP. So even if you are in Uber 11, you're going to be healing a lot because, again, the cooldown is extremely short. So you're going to be constantly healing all the time. Pretty much borderline overpowered because, once again, you get it as soon as you start the game. As soon as you start the game, all you need is 500 flux and you can get this node every single time, which outshines stuff like that Defiant Vial, which requires 20,000 qubits if I recall correctly. So yeah, 20,000 qubits. It outshines stuff like the Vampire Vanquisher healing, which again is based on an empowered gem. Empowered gen ability like Vampire Vanquisher doesn't drop very often, so you have a bunch of different types of options that actually get essentially outshined by this one, and this one is stronger in terms of healing than literally everything else in the entirety of the game in terms of lifesteal. So that's why this node in my eyes is a little bit overpowered right now. Just because how easy and accessible that you can obtain it, it is also extremely powerful, twice as strong as something like Vampire Vanquisher or Revenant passive ability, and you can use this on every single character without any setup, which is incredibly overpowered. Is really strong. Let's just say right now, since you have this node, you are going to be constantly dealing damage and stuff like this, and you're going to essentially just always heal. And this is over 11 enemies, and over 11 enemies deal quite a bit of damage, and you are going to be constantly healing all the time. And considering that Trove, you essentially never die one shot except with certain attacks like the Aethera Spin, Daughter of the Moon Swipe, or stuff like that, the Dreadnought Nuke, or the counter from the Sand Skitter, you know, all those attacks. However, none of the other enemies actually kill you one shot immediately. In Trove, whenever you do get hit, you essentially go into 1 HP. So if you actually do see right here, if I actually do get constantly just hit, you know, it actually lowered my HP to 1, even though every single hit kept triggering, it kept dealing like a couple 100,000 damage. And that's just pretty much how Trove's like healing works. Sometimes it's like whenever you essentially quote unquote die, you go to 1 HP instead. That's usually the reason they do that is for stuff like that Defiant Vial to trigger. That's why like that Defiant doesn't recover on one shot type ability like all of the previous one, because on Trove, whenever you do reach 1 HP, that's when Death Defy normally triggers and it heals you 100%. You can essentially just use that and essentially just use this as a pseudo Death Defying Vial. Will this overtake stuff like the actual Death Defying Vial for like bossing and such? Probably not. I will probably not say that this is going to overtake Death Defying Vial, because obviously, of course, if you're in an area where there's a bunch of enemies and they can just hit you before you can deal damage and you can essentially just get deleted. So stuff like Death Defying works on those, but For the majority of the content, especially for dungeon grinding, you essentially never need the Define Vial as long as you do have this. That's the reason why Vampire and Vanquisher was so valuable. It was because of the actual lifesteal. And saying that this has the same amount of, well, double the amount of lifesteal is absolutely borderline, pretty much ridiculously broken. And once again, you don't need any setup, and you can get this with any single character as soon as you start the game. But yeah, that's going to be everything for today. I just wanted to talk about this in a specific video because I thought that it was just absolutely ridiculous whenever I did the testing on the hidden effects on Vanguardian. So when I did hidden effects Vanguardian, I was doing, Hero Stand, and Hero Stand was actually a hidden effect that heals you whenever you activate your ultimate ability. So the thing is, with Hero Stand, I just wanted to do the testing, and I noticed how strong this ability was when I unequipped my Vampire and Vanquisher. So yeah, that's essentially what led me to just do this video. So hope you guys enjoyed, hope you learned something useful in this video, because it is actually something really good. And for those who are just confused where to start in the starship, now you know that is probably the best way to start, just going from the left and just going into the major star or draining kiss, which is extremely strong. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for checking out. As always, make sure to leave a like, subscribe for more content like this, and I hope to see you guys next time. Take care and keep on hunting. See ya.